So my name is Dean Morgan. This is my wife, Diana. And we have a daughter who is 15 at present time. And she had some kind of difficulties starting high school. Her name is Caylee. And so we realized that she was different at a very young age, that she was just a little quirky and kind of a little fun and a little different. But as it got into her teenage years, those differences became a lot more apparent. And then I'll let Diana take over from here.
Caylee was adopted from Russia at 2.5. She is the fourth of our children. We have 3 biological sons. Thought that bringing a child into our family was going to be easy, and that we would parent her the same way we parented our 3 sons, who each have their own issues and different personalities, but still thought for sure that was going to be the way to go, and we would just love her and everything would be fine. Knowing that she needed extra attention, she went on through life getting a lot of it. She was probably 8 when we thought we were just dealing with ADHD. Went that route for a little while. Medication definitely helps her. And she's able to focus and do more. But the attention-seeking behaviors and off-the-wall stuff that she does can be overwhelming sometimes. So moving forward, it wasn't until she was in about 8th grade that we started, maybe even a little bit younger, we started noticing a few years ago that this wasn't just ADHD, because she was not moving up the ladder of maturity the way that her friends were, and socially inappropriate. And so it was apparent that there was something else. We went to a therapist who helped us recognize the reactive attachment disorder. That's the first time we knew about it. However, she wasn't the right therapist for us. She would still have Caylee going in the office by herself. She would still, Caylee would ask for hot chocolate, and she would get hot chocolate every time, even if I said not to give her hot chocolate. So she was very quick and very good at getting anybody to do anything she wanted them to do. And then going forward, jump again. Now we are in 9th grade, and we had an incident that made us realize that this might just be bigger, to the point where Caylee just created a false Facebook page that wasn't really her, and was able to then cyberbully. And when coming to understand why she did the cyber, this isn't just, okay, this is a kid who wants to just be mean. This is, when it came to understanding why, when we were able to process why, it was because one of the cyberbullies was to her best friend. She's now paying attention to other people. And I wanted to, so if I make her feel really bad, she'll come to me and she'll be a part of my life again. The other was her cousin, who she's very jealous of, and they've always been really close as far as playing together their entire lives. And but there again, on Facebook, she's seeing, ooh, she has too many friends and I don't have enough. And so Caylee went there to let her know that she wasn't all that, and to make Caylee feel like she was a little bit better. And the other, believe it or not, was to our clergy, because she believed that God wasn't listening to her, and he was the closest thing she could get to God. So you can see that we're on all levels of spectrum. We have not enemy, but in that situation, best friend, God. There's no understanding of the differences. That freaked us out a little bit, to the extent that, because this type of behavior, of course, has been happening all of these years, but this was when it got to be intense, where it attacked someone else, where it didn't just hurt us or our family, or just Caylee. 6 months prior to finding the attachment Institute, the Institute for Attachment, we found a good therapist. We found a therapist that was definitely given, help me out.
An attachment therapist.
Yeah, an attachment, a true attached therapist with the company attached. And she was able to truly help us understand what reactive attachment disorder was. And she is the one who recommended Forrest and his program because she's worked with him. Her name is Connie Horniak. She also, probably not having too much to do with this interview, but is the one that helped us understand that Caylee also has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder.
How was that for you as parents?
Hard. For me as a mom, not enough, that I wasn't a good enough mom, that I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do. Finding out about RAD and FASD also brings on a level of guilt in that there are different ways I should have parented that I didn't. Knowing that it's not my fault and that I did everything I knew with my knowledge still makes it difficult to look backwards and think, oh my goodness, so when she was whatever behavior in the past, didn't understand it, or so difficult. And then just to think that that I couldn't do it myself. Was I giving up? Of course, you also have the comments from everyone around you who's saying, well, I don't think she's that different. She's just a fun girl. And
you're way too hard on her.
Yeah, you're so hard on her and you don't let her do things. And why are you so strict with her? And so hearing that, you think that, and then you let go a little bit, and then all heck breaks loose.
And then as she mentioned, there's a lot of disciplinary tactics that we were doing on Caylee when she was younger that were just not right based on her disability. But not knowing that she had a disability because she appears to be a normal, perfectly fine 15-year-old girl. It's the kind of thing where if you know somebody's in a wheelchair, you wouldn't expect certain things of them. Well, Caylee's doesn't have that banner on her face that says, I'm disabled, treat me differently. So we didn't know, and also other people don't know. And that's why they give, us unfair criticism, especially Diana, for some of the things that we've come to do as more rigid disciplines and more rigid behaviors, because they don't know. And we've been trying to help our closer friends out by sending them videos and sending them information about the disability that she has, so that at least the people that are within our circle can understand a little bit about what we go through and be a little bit more forgiving and understanding when we do say she can't go to that young women activity tonight, even though we've told you that she would be there, because her behaviors aren't allowing her to go. So she's just not going to be able to go. Still coming to that realization that you're not adequate as a parent or not able to just deal with things on your own. But then on the other hand, realizing that there are so many people who just think they can still deal with it and their children don't progress. They don't turn out the way they should. They don't contribute to society in a meaningful way. So we wanted to give her every possibility that she has for her future. When we both came to the realization that something needed to be done beyond our capability on a more full-time basis, it's really hard to expect the mother to run the household, run her personal life, run everything else, and be full-time with a daughter that needs full-time specific attention. Diana started researching all kinds of different possibilities and looked into different programs, and every program was a little bit different. But I know that there was a very comfortable feeling from what she would tell me, because she did most of the research on it. She'd bring the important stuff to me and say, look, what do you think about this? And I know that she felt really comfortable from the beginning with the program there.
Caylee spent 4 months in the program there before it was necessary for her to actually leave the program before she was finished. So we've been doing, finishing the program on similar to an outpatient situation where we're still doing the program here, and her therapist, Bev White, is still a big part of our lives now, almost a year later.
And we have felt from the very beginning that everybody had one interest in mind, that is that Caylee's well-being and Caylee's treatment and Caylee's plan. And even to the point where it came to the fact that her FASD disability was not going to allow her to continue in the program the way other kids that only are dealing with the reactive attachment disorder would be able to. We were advised to not have her participate in the program and not have her continue in the program. It was never about the monetary contributions that we're making. It was never about any of that. It was always about how we're working together. And I know that everybody on the team was amazingly on the same page. Everybody had the same attitude and the same commitment and understanding of the disorder, of reactive attachment disorder, and to the point where the repetition in conversations with the therapist, with the psychologist, with the program dad, with Forrest, all those conversations were so repetitive to us that it really drilled into us a complete understanding of what the program is. So even now with her home, we're able to think back and remember those things that we were told that allow us to continue more on a straight path rather than vacillating about, which way do we need to go with this. But wonderful people to work with, very wonderful people to work with.
What changes did you see in Caylee as a result of her time at the Institute?
I think initially when we came to visit her after 3.5 months at the Institute, the first thing we noticed, believe it or not, is that she could sit in a car and not make noise. It started with simple things like that. Even though Caylee wasn't able to stay as long as the program would have liked her to stay, it was so crucial that she have those 4 months there to learn things that we couldn't stop our life completely to do. So she learned to listen, with specific repetitive behaviors of how to listen. I will tell you something. Now, what did you hear me say? And those are still continuing today. I know that Caylee catches herself now. Not when she first came home, but now, again, we are we're about 10 months from when Caylee was entered into the program. And just this week, something came up. There was a note from, or a text from her teacher saying in a church class that she was a little more attention-seeking behavior, a little wild, disruptive in the class. So I just brought it up to her calmly, saying, just so you know, I'm getting this response. Do we need to, process that? She says, I need to just remember that I have to be in check and think before I talk. Whereas before, there would have been an argument. That would have been, you never let me have fun, and how come I just can't have fun? And everybody's always making fun of me, and everybody's, she doesn't go directly to everyone else's behavior now. She goes to her behavior. And given her, even though they say that you can heal from reactive attachment disorder, Bev helps us and helps Caylee to understand that, yes, your mind can heal, your heart can heal from the fact that you are left and abandoned as a child. However, it's an ongoing thought process that she has to work at that, even just because she's now had 12, 13 years of repetitious behavior. She needs now another 12, 13 years of repetitious behavior to become something different. So I'm really proud of her, of Caylee, for being able to take the directions and then bring them to herself and try to correct and understand that for her to be an adult, she's going to have to do these things by herself.
She's really come to, since starting the program and coming home from the program, she seems to have a lot healthier understanding of her disability than she did in the past. In the past, it still developed a lot of anger in her that she, because had these issues, had reactive attachment disorder and all these things. So it still developed a lot of anger in her, and that anger would manifest itself by fighting against us, or fighting against a decision that we've made, or fighting against something that she wants to do that she can't. Whereas now she seems to have a lot more trust, which is really what it's all about, is teaching that trust and attachment. She seems to have a lot more trust and an understanding belief in that trust that what we say that she needs to do is for the right reasons. And she fights against it a lot less. And there's occasional times when she'll have her moments or whatnot, but we're usually able to process those later, and she understands that she was not behaving correctly. And but I think the first step towards her beneficial life in the future is just having a healthy understanding of what she's going through, and realizing, like she said earlier, that I have to just mentally prepare myself for each thing I'm going through, and I have to mentally put myself in a position to understand I can't just blurt out and open my mouth. I need to think first. And it's a constant battle with her, and sometimes it's so obvious that we watch her fighting this battle within herself sometimes, where sometimes she'll say something and then immediately correct herself, or sometimes she'll say something and then a few minutes later realize that something was wrong and say something about it. But it's been amazing, the difference in her acceptance of her situation. And once she's got that, now it's, she's able to move forward and she's able to make progress, I think. So.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that it is not a fixed thing. It's not something you fix. It's a work, and a progressive work for a long time. Going back to the reason why we thought it was so important to go to the Institute was that even though we were going to see our therapist twice a week, driving an hour, 15 minutes each way to go see our therapist twice a week, because that's how hard it is to find this kind of therapist. And that we added it up, and that wasn't going to be enough. After 6 months seeing her, and then having the Facebook incident, there just wasn't going to be enough time twice a week, an hour, 2 hours a week, to have Caylee ready to graduate from high school and move on. Now, we have come since then to understand that her fetal alcohol spectrum disorder will inhibit some of that moving on. She has come to understand just in the past year, and you can imagine how hard this would be for a child. She's not going to be driving when she's 16, and she can't just go out to the mall with everybody. And it's not necessarily her reactive attachment disorder, but it's her fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. However, she will then fall back to her RAD behaviors in order to try to control what she can't control. So this mind is constantly having to work very hard to be what the world would call socially appropriate.
Yes. How has this impacted your marriage?
I think it's impacted our marriage. Start over. Caylee and her disabilities have made marriage a little more difficult, in that Dean would come home from work or come out of the office and not understand why there's an explosion in the home, and not having the time to process that. The Institute and the opportunity that we had to do what we never thought we would want to do and send her to a program did wonders for our marriage. We were able to, our other 3 boys are out of the home, and it was just Dean and I. All of a sudden, we were empty nesters for 4 months. And I remember, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said I would have hated to be an empty nester. But it was awesome. But it wasn't just that. It was that we didn't have any outside influences, and we needed from Caylee to always cause some kind of tension and stress, because she still to this day will pull the attention. If she's noticing that I'm talking to Dean, or I'm talking to one of my other children or my granddaughter, she still will pull that, pull us to her by whatever behavior is necessary. I'm not getting enough attention. So as much as she has progressed, we're still dealing with a lot. But being able to not have that outside influence for just that short time, which didn't feel that short at the time, was a great way for us to reconnect, because I was so busy all the time. And if I wasn't busy with Caylee, I was busy studying about Caylee, or I was busy thinking about what I was going to do next with Caylee, or I was thinking about how tomorrow we need to do this activity, and so how am I going to deal with that with Caylee? Going to a party wasn't just an option. You didn't just go to a party. It was, okay, we're going to a party. I have to tell Caylee we're going to a party, tell her what's appropriate behavior, and I have to tell the people ahead of time what they can and can't do with Caylee. So my mind was always running. So to be able to not have that and just focus on our relationship was a huge blessing.
It's just relaxing. But I think that all in all, yes, that part of it, that 4-month part of it, strengthened our marriage. It's, I think, the only stress positions or the only difficult things to deal with was just, okay, now we've got something here that we need to spend a huge amount of money on, and just coming to grips with how that's going to change our lifestyle and how that's going to change us in the future. It's not that we can just go peel off, money out of this ball that's in the closet, of ball of millions. And it's a difficult thing to do, to come to grips with the fact that your daughter is the most important thing in your life right now, and this needs to be done. And so there were a few times when Diana would come in and say, this is what we need to do, and I'm really not in a place to come to grips with spending money on that. So I think that was probably the only difficult part for us. But once I was able to come around and realize and understand that this was not an option, there was no choice in this matter. We needed to find the money. It wasn't a matter of whether we can do it or not. It was just find the money and do it. And once I came to grips with that, and that took that aspect of any kind of, and it wasn't major, it was just minor little I don't know what you call it, contentions or whatever in the very beginning. But after that point, once I'd made that resolve, then we just made it happen and made it work. And it's been the best decision we've made for her in her life. And like I said, I think that we've also been, once we've gotten past that part of it, we've been able to become closer in the cause for her, the cause for Caylee, the cause to make sure that we do everything that we can do. And it's not just a battle that Diana's fighting by herself, but it's a battle that I need to understand and be able to take over when she leaves, to go give her a break. I can be here with Caylee to understand what I need to do and what my part is, and to feel like, so that she can feel like I'm on her team as well, and we're working together toward making her life better.
What would you say to other parents who are thinking about doing this and money is the primary issue?
I think Caylee was adopted from Russia. And if she were adopted from a state in the United States, there is quite often state aid. So many of the kids that were there in the program had assistance, and we didn't. So that is where it did cause a little bit of contention in the beginning. I think that we have to do the most we can do, and if we have to give up, vacations for the next 5 years, or if we need to give up something, Caylee being able to be the best Caylee that she can be as an adult is our primary goal. It's hard. We sold our home and are renting now to assist with that. It's not the only reason, but it is one of the reasons. And it was, I guess you have to think about whether your sanity and whether the relationships in your home, in our situation, the relationships that she would have with outside family members, extended family members, friends. I didn't want Caylee to be one of those kids that was we just said, okay, fine, just go live on your own. And now society is the one dealing with her disabilities. I wanted to be the one that was in charge and gave the best opportunities I could for my daughter. It's hard, though. That's a hard choice.
I think that for me, it took me a while. The reason there was this contention in the beginning about money, of course, is that it took me a while. She was very in depth and very involved in all of the studying and all of the conversations and the emails back and forth, and she knew the program a lot more than I did. What I would say to parents that are having a hard time coming to grips with putting money out to send your child to a very expensive, what I would consider very expensive, or a way program, a home program, is that you're going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later. You don't want to look back and say 10 years from now, when your child's in jail or when your child has a difficult life, they can't hold a job, they don't have the most of what life has to offer them. You don't want to look back on that and say, wow, we should have spent that money when we could have. And I wasn't there when Diana first approached me with the idea. I wasn't convinced. And I think that it's really hard when you're looking at it on the outside and you're looking at it and you're saying, I've got this child that's a difficulty for our family. And the whole unknown is whether it will work or not. And that was really the biggest concern of mine, is that I'm going to send my child off to something for 4 months and pay X amount of dollars over this 4-month period of time, or 6 months, or however long it takes. And I don't have any guarantee. And that's just the hardest part. But knowing what we know of the Institute program that we've been through, it was well worth what we paid for it. And I would have no problem moving forward again on that. We talked to other referrals that we got from the Institute. I talked to a couple of parents. But you still can't have that assurance that it's going to work, that everything's going to work for your child. And it's such a, like Diana said, it's not just here's my child, give her back to me when she's fixed. It's not a fixed thing. It's a ongoing lifestyle change or shift. And there's so many dynamics to normal life that you just want to have the best outcome that you can, and know that that makes it worthwhile. But in my opinion, we were at the point, as Diana said, that she needed to have something dramatically different in her life than what we were able to give her at home. And it's made all the difference in the world. And we're only 4 months out of the program, 5 months out of the program so far. And but we've set up another, the rest of our life for understanding and working for where she's going to, So.
Wait, that's amazing. Thank you so much.